Hello everyone. Day 2, kind of. It's been a long day. Didn't actually get to do much of anything today except work with some construction folks who were taking care of some things and tearing the house apart. So that's what I've been doing all day. Tomorrow is the same. Got to make sure that they get their construction stuff done. I apologize for the jingling jangling. That's my dog tags hanging from my mirror, making all that noise. It's kind of like wind chimes, but different. Anyway, I got my taxes done today, so happy tax day. It's April 15th, if you didn't know. I believe the IRS has extended tax day to June 15th. But if you do anything small business-wise or sole proprietor-wise that you need to show on your taxes, then you're supposed to have it done by April 15th for federal taxes. So I went ahead and put all that together. Working in the Army and having a business at the same time. So the stuff that I do on the side is web design stuff, graphic design stuff, and things of that nature, working with small businesses. And I don't earn a ton of money from it. My ideal situation is to have whatever I make doing that offset my retirement pay. So whatever my retirement pay happens to be, if it's $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, whatever happens to be a month, I would love to just match that with freelance work. Freelance work is pretty straightforward, pretty easy. You don't have to have a lot of expertise to do freelance work, really. I would advise, if you want to do it, to get an LLC and create an entity that you can put your information in. And I would advise to have a decent tax person, if not a CPA, on your books so that you don't have to figure all that stuff out. It gets a little complicated at times. And I would advise to write everything down. I'm not so great at keeping track of the spending, but I know I got receipts for everything, so I can just go back and pull the receipts and look at all that stuff, and I have everything kind of itemized that way. So that's one way when you're starting out doing a side business, even if you're in the military, especially if you can do things like digital products. I don't know about all the other states, but I know in Georgia specifically, digital products are non-taxable. So non-taxable on the front end for the customer and non-taxable on the back end for you as well. And then if you're anything like me, you pay for hosting, you pay for a lot of design tools, you buy a computer, like all that stuff is wrapped up in my expenses. So I can itemize pretty much everything. And that puts my balance sheet in a negative compared to income. And so I actually declare like a negative few $1,000s for income for that particular thing, and then it all ties together in the federal income, right? So your W-2 income, 1099 income, if you're a freelance contractor for somebody, you can get a 1099, and then you can also do your tax stuff for your own entity if you're sole proprietor and you do business to business, or B2B as it's called. Just another way to kind of set your future in motion. So I started doing this a few years ago and started the LLC. Really didn't report anything for the first couple of years because I really wasn't making money doing it. I was just testing it out, and I wanted to have an entity where I could then throw that stuff. So I did that. And now I'm earning a little bit of money and starting to expense off a lot of the stuff that I pay for, a lot of the tools and software that I buy and things like that, because it's a lot of tools and software. But at the end of the day, basically claiming a loss and then rolling that up into my federal taxes. So taxes are important. It's going to change when you retire, right? You're going to get a totally different amount of income, depending on how you're getting it. If you're getting it mostly from the VA, or if you're getting it as retirement income, it's all changes the situation. And then on top of that, as you know, my situation is different because I'll be out of the country, right? So I won't actually legally be in any state, really. But you still have to kind of report that stuff through the IRS and then share that information with whatever country you're residing in. So it all wraps up, right? It gets a little complicated. It's good to have tax people that you know, if you know anybody, and there's plenty of tax people out there that you've probably gone to school with, or you may know as friends on Facebook or something like that. But at a minimum, I would say if you have a USAA account, if you have an account with maybe a Service Federal Credit Union or a Navy Credit Union, a lot of those banks will give you access to like TurboTax for a very small amount, if not free, and you get discounts doing that with your banks. So I would recommend looking into that if you haven't looked into that yet. There's a lot, like I said, there's a ton of resources out there. There's a ton of things, and we see them in different places. Like Military One Source is a good place to look for things like that, but there's not a database somewhere of all-encompassing like military stuff. Usually the database that gets passed around is the one on like Veterans Day or Memorial Day or whatever it is, where everybody gives away free food and free oil changes and all that. That's usually the most prominent database of information that I see get passed around. But throughout the year, you may get information from like your financial counselor at your unit, or one of the family readiness folks or something like that. They tend to pass out a lot of good information, the special programs folks. So they're definitely great to have around. They're amazing resources. But there's tons of resources out there, right? So yeah, tax day, taxes done. I usually actually do them at the end of the year, to be quite honest. I usually do them right around the end of December. So I've got my end of month LES. I don't really have a lot of different investment stuff that I need to report, but even with that stuff, you can still report that too, because you can get your year-end statement or your monthly statements, and then calculate based off of those statements, based off of your end of month LES. You could actually get your taxes done before the first of the next year by doing it that way, rather than waiting for DFAST to release your W-2 form or whatever, because sometimes it takes a couple weeks. So just to get ahead of the power curve, usually 9 times out of 10, I usually do my taxes in December, and then potentially wait around. But I've gotten to the point where I've done it so many times, it's like, I know it's going to be right, so I don't have to really worry about it. But yeah, you can just take your end of month LES from December, and that gives you pretty much all the information that you need for your taxes, right? You get your year-end tax number, you get your year-end FICA and year-end Social Security and your year-end earnings and wages. So all that stuff pretty much kind of pops into those boxes, and that's really all you need. And you can do your taxes before the rush comes, right? So that you can get your tax return a little bit quicker. So something to keep in mind. A lot of tax stuff today. So I hope everybody's good. I hope you're well. I hope you got your taxes done. And if you didn't, you've got an extension, so get them done. Also be on the lookout for a W-2C form, I think it's called, for those of us on active duty in the service. If you didn't realize, they basically gave you 3 months, I think it was 3 months or 6 months of not paying taxes, and then they recoup it over the next 6 months of this year, right? So sometime once those payments are done this year, then you'll get another form in the mail. I think it's a W-2C or a 1099-C or something like that. But essentially, you don't have to do anything with it. It's just a tax statement that you should probably take and put in your records, if you keep your records somewhere, or if you scan them somewhere, just to put away just in case for audit purposes and things like that. Other than that, I will give you this disclaimer at the very end of the video. I'm not a tax person. I'm not a financial advisor. I in no way endorse any of this information that I'm giving you. This is personal information that I've found useful, and so don't take my word for it. Go find a tax professional or a financial professional to get your answers, because everybody's situation is different, right? And if you didn't realize, this is my favorite place to like muse and mind meld in the car when I'm driving. That's where I do a lot of my reading, and it's also where I'm doing my videos for right now, until I find a good spot to do videos. So anyway, have a good evening. have a good Thursday. Happy tax day. And I will see you